right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry, I had to finish typing. Hey, you guys, welcome to today's Q&A. Opportunity for you to ask your questions, have them answered, all of the above, right? All right, it is the 15th, right? 15th of March. We have 2 days for St. Patty's Day. Do you guys already have mapped out the logistics for where you are going to have your St. Patty's Day dinner? Or do you care? Yeah, maybe. St. Patty's Day isn't necessarily a big day for us. However, it is an opportunity for us to have corned beef, which my daughter absolutely loves, and I have no idea why I fail to make it the rest of the year. Easy crock pot meal, right? There you go. All right, so welcome to today's Q&A. We're going to be talking about driver orientation, driver training here at Decker. And as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, please throw them in the chat and we'll be able to answer those questions as they come in. So put your zip code, put your city and state, either one will work, and we'll kind of get the ball rolling here for you and kind of dive deep into that orientation and training information. Now, the information is not going to be consistent across all aspects, and that's why I kind of broke it down into orientation and training, because depending on which division you are looking to run, your pay is going to be different, your training time will be different, your orientation length will be different, and whether or not we have training available will be different. Again, based off of the division that you're going to be running. So let's dive into that. And like I said, if you have any questions, whether it's about orientation or training, or just something else about the equipment or whatnot, ask away and I'll get those answered for you. Very cool? All right. Orientation. Let's talk about the orientation itself and where it takes place. It's in Fort Dodge, Iowa, which is our main terminal. And it is normally 2.5 days long. Now, again, it's going to depend on how much experience you have and what you're going into and all that good stuff. But for a blanket answer, it's a 2.5 day orientation for someone who is experienced. So that's someone who doesn't have to go with a trainer and doesn't have to do load securement and tarp training. So there we have it. Now, that being said, with those 2.5 days of orientation, we pay $500 for completing the 2.5 days. Plus, you can get a $100 bonus on top of that $500 if you complete your drug test, the urinalysis, and the physical, as well as the online orientation prior to coming to Fort Dodge for orientation. And we would set all of that stuff up for you so that don't have a worry about that. Just know that those are some of the requirements, or are the requirements, in order to get that $100 bonus for on top of that $500 orientation pay for someone who is an experienced driver. So, okay, in the chat, RN says any dry van positions out of 64029. So out of that Missouri area, we do not have any dry van currently available. However, I do have refrigerated and I do have flatbed. So if you're looking for a home weekly in refrigerated, I've got that. It actually requires a minimum, in order to go straight into it, it requires a minimum of 3 months of experience. If you don't have the 3 months of experience, we can train you. And again, we'll dive deep into that. But yeah, I don't have dry van currently available. That position is actually full, but refrigerated is available. It guarantees you a minimum of $12.50 a week and home weekly, usually home on like a Friday night or Saturday morning, back out Sunday night or Monday morning. For the most part, it's not always on the weekend. That home time, at least for the refrigerated division, it's not always on the home on the weekends, but it's usually the case. So again, that's $12.50 a week, $1,250 gross earnings. However, you can earn more than that based off of your rate of pay. So depending on how much experience you have, you could start anywhere from 52 cents to 70 cents per mile. Again, that's based off of your experience level. So there you have it. All right, I just realized how high my camera is here. See if I can do this without breaking things. No process. All right, Hannah, thank you. Miss Tana is right there helping us. Okay, so that's the dry van is full, but that is what I have available. I also have flatbed, but normally when someone's asking for dry van, refrigerated is an option, but they don't always ask for flatbed. So whichever one you want, you let me know. I just don't have dry van. All right, so back to orientation for an experienced driver. 2.5 days of orientation, and that is after you've completed your online physical, done your DOT physical, done your online orientation, there we go, which includes your clearinghouse, which is the drug and alcohol clearinghouse, and then of course the urinalysis. So those 3 things have to be completed before you come to orientation. Now if you are planning ahead, we can go ahead and schedule you out for that physical and drug test ahead of time, get that done, get that over with, and that way it's not going to hold you up in orientation. It's going to be that 2.5 days, and then you can just get rolling from there. Now, remember, when you do come to orientation, for those of you who have heard this before, otherwise this is news, but when you come to orientation, we do have hair follicle as well as the urinalysis that you've already taken. So the urinalysis, obviously, we have to have back before you can be dispatched out. That's why we like to do that in the physical ahead of time. So you do the hair follicle when you get here. You'll also have your driving test when you get here. Then you'll go over some more of those company policies and procedures, meet with some of the management, operations, get to know a little bit of everybody so that you've got everything. You've got your connections, you've got your go-tos for fuel solutions, washouts, obviously the scorecards, your ambassador, you'll have all of those connections ahead of time. So there you have it. Hey, Amy. Hello. Good to have you. Yes, stranger it is. All right. Awesome. So what else can I tell you about this online orientation? It is now again, the online orientation is done before you get to Fort Dodge, which is where the orientation is held. It is a combination of a short video clip followed by a couple of questions, then another video followed by a couple more questions, and then that will continue on it's roughly about 3 hours. I want to say 3, maybe 4. RN says, what's the pay for orientation? For an experienced driver who only has 2.5 days, it's $500 for orientation. So we pay you $500. If you are an inexperienced driver, then it's $1,000 pay, and that, excuse me, sorry, I didn't realize how loud that was. It's $1,000 pay, and that is not including the $100 bonus in either option that you would get for doing your online orientation, your physical, and your drug test ahead of time. Cool? So it's $500 for experienced, $1,000 for a student. And it's because the student is here for a week and not just the 2.5 days. Now, if for some reason, so this brings up a point, if for some reason you'll be here an extra day or so, an instance, okay, maybe we're waiting on a truck. Maybe the truck isn't ready yet for some reason, or it's in the shop, or maybe it could be a variety of reasons. But if you are here longer than the 2.5 days of orientation, you're here for 3 or more, then you'll get $250 for each day beyond that third day. So the third day on, up until a max. I think it's a max of 1,000. It is a max of 1,000 for the week. So, also, if the truck that we've got you assigned to is in, say, Bessemer, we have a terminal in Bessemer, Alabama. We have one in Missoula, Montana. We have one in Hammond, Indiana as well. So if those are usually the locations that, if it's not in Fort Dodge, could be one of those locations. Then we would pay you to go get the truck at that location. In instance, this last week we had a truck available in Missoula, and so we assigned one of our rehires to that one because Robert actually lives up in that direction, and so it was way easier with his personal vehicle to get him over there. But that just gives you an idea of how we're going to work with you or make it work for you so that you just make it a little bit easier. He needed a way to get his personal vehicle back up there. We had a truck up there. It worked really well for him, so that was the case. And of course, Liam got that truck over and ready for him. Liam and crew, I should say. Can't give Liam all the credit, right? Liam is and our shop manager up there in Missoula. And, Tana says student pay is split up, so you get $500 at the completion of orientation and the other $500 the following week. So you are not going to go without a paycheck when you start aboard. That's exactly right. So again, that's $1,000 total for orientation. We split it, so you've got consistent paycheck each week. Now, that being said, if you're a student and you complete, or when you complete the 1 week of orientation, then you'll also be getting paid $700 a week for training. So you have 1 week of orientation, followed by 2 to 3 weeks of training. And during that training period, it's going to be $700 per week. So anything that is completed by Sunday night at midnight is going to be paid on Friday. And that's going to be the same, not only with the training pay, but also with your mileage pay or whatever you've got that way. So if you're getting mileage pay or if you're getting guaranteed pay, like RN, I was telling you about the guaranteed pay of $12.50 a week for our refrigerated division. So when I'm talking about that, all of your paperwork for all of the loads that you completed by midnight on Sunday have to be in by midnight on Sunday in order to achieve or in order to meet the qualifications for that guaranteed pay to get paid the $12.50 on Friday. Now, if for some reason you didn't meet those qualifications, and I'm going to break that down for you here in just a second, but in case you didn't meet those qualifications, you would revert to the pay per mile, which would be, again, anywhere from 52 to, I had to think about that for a second, anywhere for 52 to 70 cents a mile based off of your experience. Now, that being said, your rate of pay per mile can very likely be over and above that $12.50 example that I gave you for your area, at least. Could be more than that $12.50, even if you didn't qualify for the guaranteed pay. Now, we want you to qualify for the guaranteed pay because that means that you're available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no late loads, all of your paperwork's in, you didn't have a CSA violation or a preventable accident for the week. So those are the 6 qualifications. They're very basic, but they're there to make sure that performance and responsibilities are taken care of, are met during the week. Now, so I'm going to just repeat myself one more time. The qualifications for guaranteed pay, for minimum pay, all of the above on a week by week basis is, there's 6 of them, on-time delivery, so no driver service failures, get your paperwork in on time, which is by the latest at midnight on Sunday night, preferably the latest being 10. Be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week, no load refusals, no CSA violations, and no preventable accidents for the week by week. Now, side note, as I like to bring a whole lot of information all at once to you, but side note, those are the qualifications for the guaranteed pay, okay? Bring that over here. Those same qualifications are what qualify you for the guaranteed accelerated sign-on bonus, which is $5,000. Now, the difference between the two is instead of having the week-by-week qualifications that the guaranteed pay or minimum pay has, you have to be compliant 70% of the time for the quarter because the sign-on bonus pays out quarterly. Part of that sign-on bonus, the accelerated part, is an extra 5 cents a mile for all the miles that you run over 25,000 as a refrigerated driver. So for all the miles over 25,000, you're going to make an extra 5 cents a mile paid out in that quarter. Clear? All right. But you need to be 70% compliant. Obviously, if you're 80, 90, 100%, fantastic. That's what we want. But at least 70% compliant for that. And that pays $12.50 plus the extra 5 cents a mile on all miles over 25,000. Now, if you're home on a weekly basis, or home if you're on one of our divisions or positions that are home more often, it is going to be harder to get that mileage requirement or mileage accelerator, I should say, for the sign-on bonus, which is understandable. But just know that that's going to be the difference between. So you might just be getting the extra $12.50 a week. $12.50. Tana says qualifications to receive the 1,000. Be available for dispatch 5 days out of the week. No load refusals. Turn in your paperwork. 100% on-time delivery, so no driver service failures. No CSA violations and no preventable accidents. Awesome. Sorry, talking up a storm here. So there you have it. Right there in front of you. Okay, so those are going to be the qualifications for the guaranteed pay and the sign-on bonus. And we briefly went over the orientation. The online orientation also includes, as I bounce around all over, good luck following me. Let's see if we have any structure to this. But the online orientation, remember, this is done ahead of time before you even get to orientation. At this point, though, I do want to note that you are not receiving the online orientation until you are approved for orientation. So we've determined that you've met the qualifications. We've done the background reports. We've ran your MVR and your PSP report, your CRIM and CDLIS report. We've gotten employment verifications. So we've vetted you at this point is what I'm getting at. So you've already been approved for orientation. Now you're not truly considered hired until you've completed your drug test and your physicals and your driving test. So you do have to come to orientation until you're legit considered hired, because you have to complete that part as well. But the online orientation just moves that along much quicker for you. So in addition to the videos followed by a couple of questions as part of the online orientation, you'll also have a few forms that you'll be filling out. Now these forms are there's a number of things in there. You'll be filling out an expectation form. Now, your recruiter and yourself would have discussed your expectations ahead of time. What kind of miles are you looking for? What kind of home time are you expecting? You know that we're going to run Chicago area. You know that there's some night driving. You know that we have both inward and outward facing event recorders, part of our Smart Drive unit, which, by the way, there's also a bonus for. But we have, what else do we have? You know there's going to be a hair follicle test when you come to Fort Dodge for orientation. You know that we haul, in the refrigerated division, we haul alcohol and produce, and we haul a lot of meat, pork, chicken, and that you don't have any restrictions to that, to hauling any of those items. What am I missing? Net, gross, because we like to know what it is that, like, what your goals are for netting and what your goals are for grossing. Now, obviously, we can better determine your gross rate of pay or weekly than we can in your net, because that's going to have a lot of factors in it. What insurance plan are you choosing? Are you managing your time well? Obviously, that's the above all. What insurance plans are you choosing? Are you taking advantage of our 401k that has a 50% match? Are you getting long-term or short-term critical illness, dental, vision on top of all that? I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you can get. We don't want you to be insurance rich and money poor, so we want to make sure that we're calculating for you what your needs are and where we can best fit you into a good combination of your pay, obviously, and your benefits. Let's see, what else are there forms-wise? We also have on there a repayment agreement. Now, when you see that, you'll see all of the expenses, or, really the investment that Decker made in you as a professional driver to get you here for orientation. So it'll include your transportation here, whether we did a rental car and paid for the rental car and the gas to get you here, or we did a flight to get you here, or whatever the case might be. That'll be on that repayment agreement, as well as your hotel and your food room and board will also be on there. But really what that repayment form is that you're recognizing during online orientation is that Decker has put an investment in for you. We're investing not only money but time into getting you approved, having our orientation leaders and our concierge walk through everything with you and make sure that you have the support system along the way before you get started as well as once you've started. And then you've got your driver manager, you've got your management connections, you have the connections for wash and fuel and your shop and all of that good stuff right then and there. But remember, when it comes to the repayment agreement, that's recognizing on your part that we have made this investment. So each month we knock $100 off of it, no matter what it was. So we knock $100 off. And at 6 months, it's null and void. So we wash it clean, we take on that expense. We just wanted to make sure that we're giving you a heads up on it so you're not surprised by anything that's on that online orientation. RN says, I'm currently grossing $1,500 a week, running days 2K, 2,000 miles a week. Okay, so tell me, what are you regional? Are you home weekly? What are your goals, I guess, for all of that? I guess is where I'm curious. Just to make sure that we're see if we are or are not able to meet those expectations. So 2,000 a week. Now, depending on where you live, now let me double check, but I don't think I have my fresh meat. Yeah. Yep, that is probably the highest guaranteed pay that you'd see with us, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't be making that $1,500 a week. Probably not with 2,000 miles though, because our top pay currently is at 70 cents per mile. Now that's where you'd be topped out at. However, we do have an extra 5 cents a mile in monthly bonuses. Home 2 days a week, looking for lease purchase. Oh, lease purchase? Absolutely. Oh, thank you, Tam. Lease purchase, yes, we do have the lease purchase opportunity for you. I do want to make a side note though, RN. With the lease purchase, we pay 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. So you'll get 100% of the fuel surcharge if it's a dry load. You'll be running with a reefer van, but if it's a dry load that you're carrying, then you'll get 100% of the fuel surcharge. If it's a refrigerated load, then you'll get 90% because we take care of the reefer fuel, so 10% will go towards the reefer fuel for the surcharge, but the rest of it will go to you. 72% of the load is what you're paid, again, plus the fuel surcharge. Our goal is about 45 to 5,000 plus for weekly revenue for our lease purchase drivers, which means roughly half of that would be what you'd be taking home. You know, it could be a little bit, could be higher on that end. And as some of our current lease purchase drivers might be listening to this, they might be saying, hey, I take home more than that. Well, most likely, yes. But those are where our gauges are because we don't want you to get below that. So your fleet manager is going to keep an eye on it for you to make sure that we are sticking at least that 45 to 5,000 a week for the weekly revenue. But yeah, you're looking at about half because you're looking at fuel costs, which, dang, that sucker is hitting people hard right now. You're looking at fuel costs. You're looking at the lease payment, which is $675 a week for a 4-year lease term. If you're looking at a newer truck. Another side note, I do lots of those. I should just kind of have a little running list of my side notes. But anyways, side note, for the lease purchase, the new trucks, they probably won't be in until May. So we have newer trucks. We just don't have brand new trucks until probably May. They're ordered, they're being made, all that good stuff, but we don't expect them until May. Let's see, what else can I tell you about that lease purchase? So you've got about $140 or so, anywhere from $90 to $140 a week for insurance, which will be based off of your MVR, the year of the truck that you're putting on, if you're choosing a brand new truck, come May, or if it's a truck that's a year or two old, because we do have options. It's not uncommon for one of our company drivers to say, hey, I want to go lease purchase, but I want to be in the truck that I'm in. So then we try and work it so that you can do that. So if it's a truck that, say, has 120,000 miles on it, you're looking at a 3-year lease term instead of a 4-year lease term, because it's basically a year old at that point, right? Okay, so I'm going to back up for just a second. In order to get directly into our lease purchase program, there is a $1,500 deposit. If you decided you wanted to start as a company driver, kind of get the swing of things ahead of time, that's awesome. We waive the $1,500 deposit. We do require or do ask that you achieve a minimum of 850 points per month on your scorecard. So it's 850 out of 1,000. 1,000 being a perfect score. The closer you are to the perfect score, the better. But that means, odds are you're going to be really successful in lease purchase. You've got a great hold on, or a great handle on your fuel compliance, your idle time, your miles, your on-time delivery, CSA, preventable accidents, all of that. So if you've got 850 or above, it's a really good indication that you'll do very well in lease purchase. So that's why we waive that $1,500 for the deposit. If you do pay the $1,500, then it is okay, or it will go towards the escrow though. What else? We have a maintenance service plan, which would be part of the lease purchase program. Give me one sec. Okay. Maintenance service, so it's 9 cents a mile for the maintenance service plan. We have base plates and permits, which run roughly $50 a week. I'm trying to think of what all we have. What else am I missing here? You'll have tolls and scales. Tolls and scales run roughly $50 a week. Well, $200 a month, which works out to be about $50 a week. These are for the refrigerated side. So we pay 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge, $675 for the truck payment for up to a 4-year lease term. However, at the end of the lease, whether it's a 3-year lease or a 2-year or a 4-year lease, depending on the year of the truck, you'll have a $70,000 balloon payment. Now, if you prefer to extend the lease for 2 years to avoid the $70,000 balloon payment, then what happens is you have, let's take that example that I had earlier. You have a truck that has 120,000 miles on it, okay? It's a year old. So now you have a 3-year lease term instead of a 4-year lease term. So you have 3 years at $675 a week, and for the truck payment, you have the 9 cents a mile for the maintenance service fee. You have your insurance, you have your tolls and scales, your base plates and permits. Now, if you extend the lease instead of doing the $70,000 balloon payment at the end, if you extend the lease instead, then it'll add 2 more years onto your lease. But the lease is going to adjust just a little bit. So instead of the $675, the last 2 years, so the first 3 years still $675 plus the 9 cent maintenance service fee. But the last 2 years will be $700 a week and 12 cents per mile for the maintenance service escrow. So the last 2 years, that maintenance service fee is turning into an escrow and will have a buildup for you. Now the first 3 years, or 4, whatever it is, in this example 3, it'll be a maintenance service fee because we have the warranty. The warranty's still good. And it's only 9 cents instead of the 12 cents because that warranty is still good. And whatever you've invested, so you could start paying right now and say you need new tires next week, that's fine. That 9 cents a mile will go and cover that. Tires, batteries, oil changes, just routine maintenance, anything that the the warranty won't cover that is non-preventable, basically, that's normal wear and tear. The buyout's now 70 instead of 52. Yes, I don't know when it was 52. It has been 67 the last several years, but with the cost of the trucks going up, obviously it affected the buyout rate. So yes, I don't know when it was 52 last. It's been 67 for quite some time. Let's see, what else can I tell you with the lease purchase program? If you want to go ahead and email me or just give one of us a call, 888-668-0698, what we'll do is we can put together a breakdown of the lease purchase pay for you, and we can send you a packet with all of the details so that there's no surprises and, hey, what's this expense? What's this expense? Where is this earning coming from? And all of the above. We want to make sure that it's very straightforward. We'll put it in a spreadsheet for you. You can throw numbers in there and see what those payouts will be. Make it a little easier for you to see if that's, if that is a good deal. Also, you'll be using our fuel routing and our fuel solutions, so you'll want to stick with them, obviously, because that's where the savings are. Most definitely good savings on those. All right, so let's talk just briefly about a student trainee, or student trainee, same type of thing, but a student orientation. Now, say you have zero experience, you just are a recent graduate of a PTDI certified school, so at least 160 hours for the course that you graduated from, and you decide that you want to start in the refrigerated division. So you'll have the week long of orientation. It'll start on Monday. So orientation is on Monday for students. For experienced drivers, right now we've got flexibility between Monday and Wednesday. So for a student, you'll start on a Monday. Remember, we pay you $1,000 for completing orientation because it's a week long. We'll split that $1,000 so you've got money coming in from the week you began. And then you'll get a $100 bonus for completing the online orientation, the physical and drug test ahead of time. Before I move on and dive deeper into the orientation for a student, I do want to let you know if you have a recent physical, especially when you're a student, you usually just have just completed one. So if you have a recent physical that is less than 6 years or 6 months old, and it's good for at least another 6 months, then we can usually use that one. So what you'll do is when you're talking to your recruiter and they're getting everything lined up for orientation for you, let them know, hey, you know what, I had a physical on this date. Can we see if that'll work? Then we'll have you email us all of the pages. So what is that, 6 pages or something like that? Have you email all of the pages over to your recruiter, and they'll work to get that approval on that physical so you don't have to redo it. Now, if you don't really care and you don't have a recent one, obviously we'll just set you up at the same time as the drug test, the urinalysis, so you don't have to go in twice. Okay, back to orientation. Week-long orientation. Remember, transportation, we'll get a rental car, we'll get a flight. Just talk to us about options. We'll look into a few for you, depending on what's going to be more convenient. If you're nearby Fort Dodge, since that's where orientation's at, Fort Dodge, Iowa, if you're nearby and you want to drive your own vehicle, then we do reimburse up to $150. So 50 cents a mile is the max of $150. So, yeah. Now, orientation. So orientation for a student, being a full week, you'll go through a lot of the details with the experienced drivers, which will be the road test. You'll do the hair follicle, go through some company policies, procedures. We will have a couple of people, like the operations manager come in. You'll be visiting with the head of training. You'll be visiting with probably Bruce, he'll probably come in and talk about washouts. Janelle will come in and introduce you or do the slideshow for the fuel solutions, the fuel program that we have, and introduce you to that and give you details. Andrea will come in with a benefits slideshow and details on our benefits program, and you'll meet with your driver manager. So we've got Katie. Katie McFarland is our concierge. So you'll have, of course, you'll have the training department, orientation department there to support you and help answering all of these questions. But you'll also have Miss Katie, and she is really your go-to as you transition from orientation over into your truck. She'll actually walk with you to your truck as you're assigned it and do a walkthrough, make sure everything's in order, going through the checklist, signing it all off, and then headed you back to get your truck in order. So then you can get loaded into your truck and stuff. That is for an experienced driver. Now for a student, that will happen, but not until after you finish your training. So you'll have that first part where you'll meet with the training department. You'll go over any securement if you're in flatbed. You'll go over load securement if you're in refrigerated with load locks and whatnot. You'll go over the TransFlow Geotab system. So you have a Geotab unit in the truck. Your Geotab unit will be in the truck. It is basically a tablet, and on that tablet you'll have access to TransFlow. That TransFlow app will have your dispatch information, your communication between you and your driver manager, your load information when it comes to where you're fueling, so you'll have your fuel routes and locations and everything. You'll have your hours of service available on there, but there are also areas for your scorecard, your smart drive. Those are two of our bonuses, but it also has the calculations within the TransFlow app. You can also, by the way, get a lot of that information on your phone. Just note that you don't want hours of service on your phone. Also, through the TransFlow app, the Geotab unit in the truck, you'll have DriveWise. You'll have, so DriveWise and BestPass are in the truck. You'll have, what else is in the truck? Oh, through the tablet, you'll also have free Wi-Fi. That'll be there. You just log in, put yourself in a hotspot. The trucks, by the way, are fully loaded. You'll soon discover. They have APUs and refrigerators, microwaves, CB units. They have navigation, Sirius radio. A lot of that is going to be through the Geotab. You have Epic View satellite TV plus a 32-inch television. It's all company paid as a company driver. I think I mentioned CB. Of course, we've got both driver and passenger side air ride seats. We've got double bunk trucks, Smart Drive. We are a Smart Way carrier. What am I missing? The trucks are fully loaded, you guys, just in case you didn't realize that. They've got them all. So all of that's in there. You'll be going through a lot on how to run this. You'll have manuals available to you. You'll also be introduced to some social media. Now, not everybody goes onto social media, but I do want you to know, obviously, as you're watching this YouTube video, odds are you go here for research as well. So we're on YouTube every Tuesday at noon Central. We're on Facebook Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Central. We also have a Facebook group. We have a couple of Facebook groups, actually. We have a Decker Ran Facebook group, but we have our Driver Ran Facebook group, which is probably one of the most beneficial things out there. It's a great support system. And not only is it a great support system, just a community, but they help with so many things, just small instructions, reminders. Recently, one of our drivers, Steve, actually put together an additional Facebook group This Facebook group is for customer consignee information. So for maybe you want to know a little bit more on the location, like are there bathrooms? Is there additional parking? Is there somewhere to eat nearby? How do you get into the facility? Some of the facilities, you gotta admit, some facilities are hard to get into. Maybe there's tricks of the trade for getting into that location or getting unloaded faster, so that information is actually being provided by our drivers, by all of our professional drivers, to support and to help other professional drivers here at Decker. That's huge. In my mind, that's huge. That's a great support system. That is teamwork. And being gung-ho sports addict, I love teamwork. That is fantastic. You guys way to be looking out for each other and taking care of each other. So, what else can I tell you about those groups? We'll give you links to them so you will have access to those links to join those groups. And again, those two groups are ran by our professional drivers, and they do support a lot of information. We do like to include some of the manuals in there for you so it's easy access. Just know the newsletters, the weekly newsletters that come out, the manuals and all of that, that's available to you on your tablet, which I just realized how dirty my tablet is. That's available to you on your tablet. It's also available to you in the Facebook groups. And we email a newsletter out every week, every Monday. So, yeah, all that information's available. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn. I'm sure there's other social medias out there. TikTok. We love testimonials, by the way, on our TikTok page. Those are fun. All right, so training for a student. Once you've completed orientation, and like I said, it's a week long. If you're going to do securement and tarp training, you'll have part of that before you go out on the road with the trainer. Once you go out on the road with the trainer, it's about 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how well you're picking things up, but it also depending on where you went out to. Because when you're with a trainer, you're more on their schedule, 2 to 3 weeks at a time, because hey, what if, at 2 weeks you went out on a road or out on a load and you're coming back? It might take just a little bit longer, so it might be close to that 3 weeks. Either way, $700 a week, or basically $100 a day for orientation, or for training, and everything that is completed by Sunday night at 10 p.m. It's actually at midnight, but 10 p.m. is the safe one, because that way we know that it makes it in on time for payroll. So everything by 10 p.m. will be paid Friday morning. And you'll not only get an email notification of your pay, but you'll also obviously receive that information on your Geotab unit. So you can access it there as well. Also on the Geotab unit, you'll have your Smart Driving Your Scorecard bonuses, which are monthly. They're available to you right around between the 10th and the 15th, and always go through that with your driver manager. Okay. Now, once you're done with training, you're going to come back to the terminal, and we're going to seat you in a truck. So again, you'll meet with Katie if you're in the Fort Dodge area. You'll meet with Katie, and she'll do a walkthrough of the truck with you, and as you are assigned it. If the truck that you're assigned to is in Bessemer or Missoula or Hammond, and you're not there yet, we will get you transportation to get you there to cover that, usually a rental car. However, if you've just completed training and you happen to be in Hammond, Indiana for that, and that's where the truck is, then we would just seat you at that point. So, get everything into your truck, and talk with your driver manager over the phone in that case, or in person if you're coming back to Fort Dodge, so they can meet you in person. And again, they go over that expectation form that we talked about just briefly when we were talking about the online orientation. But you'll have the expectation form that you fill out on the online orientation, but you'll also have an expectation form that the recruiter may have filled out for you. And between the two of them, it's a really good understanding of, hey, this is what I need. These are dates that I need to be home. This is what's important to me. You know, maybe tell you a little bit about your family, what the home time is. If the location is different than your address, there's whatever it might be. That's information that we can use to help better support and take care of you as a professional driver. Because we know that the sacrifices that you take on a daily and weekly basis are significant. So we want to make sure that you have the support system where you don't have to worry about anything else. You do what you do well, and we'll be there to support you and help you through it. Answer the questions, provide the information, whatever it is that you're needing, will help get you there. So feel free to let us know what that is. Communication is key, so we'll continue to accept information from you, and vice versa. Let us know what you need for information. And what's the best way to receive it? Because I mentioned, we talked about the podcast. We talked about YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and emails and transflow system, intranet, all of the above. So, but maybe there's a different way. Maybe you prefer something else. Also on our transflow, our communication with your DM, you can, you'll get information directly from there. We'll do a fleet-wide message sometimes. If there's a weather alert, for instance, was it this last December? My goodness, days are rolling. This last December, we had to shut down over 500 trucks. Now, we're a fleet of just under 700, but we had to shut down about 500 trucks. Reason being, the wind. The wind warnings were significant, and they were so vast. We didn't dare have our professional drivers out on the road in an unsafe spot when those warnings and watches were coming through the way that they were. So we're looking out for you that way as well. And we appreciate you guys being patient and understanding. It is out of our control, weather. It is out of your control, weather. So we want to make sure that all is well and all is safe. You and anybody else out on the road. Yes, the freight. Yes, taking care of our customer. Those are very important. But your livelihood and the livelihood of others out on the road is even more vital. So please stay safe. All right. So as a review, orientation pays $500 for an experienced driver because it's a 2.5-day orientation. Pays an extra $250 up to $1,000 total if you had to stay for an extra day for additional whatever it might be. If you're a student, it pays $1,000 total for the week long of orientation. We split that pay, so it's $500 and $500. Now, in both cases, you do get a $100 bonus for completing the online orientation through Luma eNugget Learning Training. That's a link that we'll send you once you're approved. We also, you'll have the online orientation, we'll have the physical and the drug test ahead of time, and the clearinghouse, which is really part of the online orientation. So those have to be completed ahead of time for that $100 bonus. Cool. All right, you'll have, when you come to orientation, you do have the hair follicle and the driving test, and you'll go through some more of those company policies and procedures and all that good stuff. And then if you're an inexperienced driver, so that means you have less than 3 months of experience, then you will go with a trainer for 2 to 3 weeks. Receive $700 a week while you're with the trainer. And then after that, you'll get the pay per mile. So as an experienced driver, you're starting at a minimum of 55 cents a mile in the refrigerated division, a minimum of 56 cents a mile in the flatbed. Now, as I say that, please be aware that there is one division, our over-the-road flatbed, that we don't currently offer to inexperienced drivers. So we require a minimum of 6 months of experience, which again will start you at 56 cents a mile. as a newer flatbed driver. If you don't have flatbed experience, but you have over a year of tractor trailer and you're in our hiring area for our over-the-road flatbed division, and that's something you're interested in, again, we will train you for flatbed as long as you have a minimum of 1 year of tractor trailer experience. Okay, so you'll have the 2 to 3 weeks of training, pay you $700 a week while you're with a trainer. For securement training, we do pay extra for the securement and TARP training when you're going through that. I believe it's $100 a day. What am I missing? Trying to think here. I was going somewhere with it. I was just trying to figure out where I was going. Okay, I know. Sorry, you guys. I knew I was going somewhere. So your rate of pay, once you're done with a trainer, you'll be going solo and making cents per mile instead of that lump of $100 a day or $700 a week for orientation. So as a refrigerated driver, you'll start at 52 cents a mile, work your way to 55 cents a mile by the end of the first year. You get a penny raise every 90 days within your first year of training, or coming out of training, I should say. And then at that point, you'll be at the 55 cents a mile at the end of that year. You'll get penny raises annually until you hit the cap, which is currently at 70 cents per mile. Okay? Now, as a flatbed driver, you're working your way from 53 cents a mile to 56 cents a mile within the first year. Again, a penny raise every 90 days within that first year, and then you'll get a penny raise annually until you hit the max of 70 cents a mile. That's for student or trainees, okay? If you're coming aboard as an experienced driver, so someone who has at least 3 months of experience, you're starting at 55 cents a mile in the refrigerated division, 56 cents a mile in the flatbed division. Side note, you have to have at least 6 months of experience for the over-the-road flatbed division in order to qualify. So there you have it. Yeah, and then after that, it's annual raises of a penny per mile up to a max of 70 cents a mile, which is our current cap, which is looked at on a regular basis. You do have the monthly bonuses, which can add up to an extra 5 cents a mile. You have the accelerated sign-on bonus, which is $5,000, pays out $12.50 each quarter. So that is also available to you. And then, what else? There's lots of other, like, side note too. You have, for clean inspections, it's $50 for the clean inspections. If your truck is being inspected in-house at one of the terminals, the shops, they're going in for one of the, like a B service or A service or whatever, then, and it's inspected, then as long as you received a 3 or a 4, you will be recognized for the clean truck policy. So, which was created basically based off of some of our company drivers and their requests. George, hey George. So what trucks are available for experienced drivers 20 plus years? 579, 389. Great question. All right, new to Decker, a 579. Now, if you've been with Decker, so this is a little bit different. If you've been with Decker for at least 15 years, you do qualify for a 389. So basically, you can do some of the specs on the truck for that 389. And you probably see a lot of those pictures because those who have the 389, they love them. They love them. They look awesome. But yeah, you've got to be here 15 years in order to qualify for one of those. And with 20 years of experience, but new to Decker, the 579 for the Peterbilt, or a 760, 780 Volvo, or a Freightliner Cascadia Evolution. Yeah. Those are what we have available for someone who is new to Decker. Now you've got lots of experience, 20 years, but it's the experience with Decker that qualifies you for the 389. And the trucks have everything you can imagine. Tana actually put a lot of that information on there. double bunks. All newer trucks have double bunks. 2020 new refrigerators, 1.8 cubic foot. The Volvo's a little bit bigger, yep. 39 by 80 for the twin bed. Lots of information on that one. Yeah, I was going to say, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us today. 900 watt or 1800 watt inverter, 900 watt microwave. Yes, the trucks come with microwaves. Very cool. Right. Any other questions on the equipment? There you go. Awesome. Okay. All right, you guys. Well, that is the orientation and training here at Decker Truck Line. So if you guys have any questions, if you're ready to make the next step to leap on over to Decker, please go ahead and call the telephone number that's flying across your screen. It's actually going this way. This way. 888-668-0698, and you'll get a hold of one of the recruiters. And they'll answer all of those questions for you based off of where you live. So where you live, what experience you have, all of those details is what they'll be asking you all kinds of questions to get you qualified. You can also apply online at drivedecker.com. It's a pretty quick approval process. Obviously, the number of jobs that you've held are going to come into factor, your driving record, work history and everything, and safety, all part of it. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions. 888-668-0698. All right, heads up for what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Next week is the 21st, right? Just kidding. Okay. Next week is the 21st. So we have the best fleets to drive for. What? Yeah, they're announcing the best fleets to drive for. And now, if you didn't know, I don't know what's going on because I keep talking about it. We were one of the top 20 chosen by professional drivers for the top 22 for 2022. This is so hard to say, you guys. You gotta give me a break on that one. So top 20 for 2022 best fleets to drive for. So yeah. Anyways, best fleets to drive for 2022 is going to be announced. There's a live seminar, TCA seminar this weekend. So it'll be exciting to hear more about the top two. And next Monday at 4 p.m. Central, we will be live on our Facebook, as always. So be there to hear some info, to get any updates that are going on. And then you'll also have an update back here on our YouTube channel at noon Central on Tuesday. But that's not it. We have more, because coming up, again, the following Monday, the 28th, we'll have Facebook Live at 4 p.m. Central on Facebook. We'll also have Tuesday at noon Central, our Facebook Live, but we'll have a special presentation that evening that looks like I need to give Brad a call. He called me 3 times during the live. So that we do have the live presentation of our Driver of the Year Awards, and we'll be also recognizing not only our Driver of the Years, our Grand Champion, as well as our Million Mile Award winners. And we have several Million Mile Award winners. Not only 1 million, 2 million, and 3 million. So those are going to be exciting. So join us then. All right, you guys, I have some phone calls to return, so I'm going to go ahead and let you be for the rest of the day. If you have questions, please reach out to myself or one of the recruiters at 888-668-0698.